It is within or behind everything we do. Buildings, cities, everyday objects. They are all its constructions. They are its forms. We don't see it. We don't even know that we ignore it. The planet we live on is an immense open-air unconscious. It is everywhere. It is the flesh and life of everything, hidden each time behind a different face. It is the one great creator of everything we see, the one and only true designer, the one and only true interior decorator. It is because of it that everything can stand beside everything in our experience. The galaxies and the brain, the clouds and the living. It is the planet and its force of gravity that designs all that we are and all that we see. Black holes and armchairs, roads and celestial observatories. It is not something unknowable, and it is not simply a mystery. It is an ignorance that lies within all forms of knowledge, like an immense desire that we can see only after it is extinguished. Needless to give it a name. Earth, Gaia, globe, planet. It has the names of all the things to which it gives form and matter. It has the face of all the things it creates and in which it invents a new way of existence. This stranger who inhabits and embodied us is indifferent to the opposition between heaven and earth, as well as to that between the human and the non-human. It is alive in the past as well as in the present. We ignore it and ignore to ignore it, but we do not stop using its strengths. Every time we design, every time we build something, we only prolong its life. Architecture, design, the arts should start from here. Everything they do is but the life of this mystery that we cannot know except by transforming it. All they do is make our planet even more unknown and mysterious.
Good morning to you all. I'm Silvia Boccardi, a journalist of Will. We are here today to present the 23rd International Exhibition. The video that you have just seen, directed by art director Emanuele Coccia, introduces the subjects that we'll be talking about today. So I'm happy to leave the floor to Stefano Boeri, the president of Triennale Milano, and Carla Morogallo, general manager of Triennale Milano. Thank you very much for being here with us today. Thank you, Silvia. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you here because we have been working with you and Will, your journal, and we're happy to be here today. I know you would like to say a couple of words by way of introduction before starting the event. Yes, I would like to pay homage to a dear friend, an extraordinary person in the world of media who passed away a few days ago, Marco Sfere. He has been one of the main actors of the revolution that has taken place, and not just in design and architecture. So it's a huge loss for all of us, and I really believed it was important to remember him together. So let's start today's event. Triennale has been organizing international exhibitions every 3 years since 1923, inviting designers, architects, and artists from all over the world to address a specific topic, a theme. And I would like to start by asking you what the international exhibition represents and how did you choose the theme for the 23rd edition? Well, unlike the Venice Biennale, Triennale has always selected themes and topics that do not pertain to a specific discipline. Triennale has always considered the arts, human sciences, and has involved all of them to ponder on topical subjects like the school, the environment in the 80s, and so on and so forth. Broken Nature, a beautiful exhibition curated by Paolo Antonelli in 2019, focused on a specific topic. What can we do today to mend our relationship with the broken nature that we have colonized, destroyed? How can we give back to nature what we have taken away from it? So we were here in March 2020, on the 4th of March, with Francis Queré, Silvia Baudo, Emanuele Coccia, and many other friends who are also the main actors of this exhibition. And that was the day of the lockdown. We were in this empty theater. Many of us were here in person, many were attending remotely. And as I said, we were locked in this theater, and we were here to plan the 23rd edition. And we started considering that the nature that we thought we could mend during the Broken Nature International Exhibition then turned out to be impossible to repair, that was inside us and could destroy us. And this has changed our viewpoint. So we started discussing about this with Silvia and Francis in particular, and realized that what we don't know, and we don't know, think of the universe, for instance, and all the galaxies, or the billions of bacteria that populate our bodies, and that we couldn't even map a few years ago. So the explosion of the unknown deserves our attention today. And this exhibition that is going to start doesn't provide the technical solutions, but rather raises questions. And the unknown can be seen from different perspectives, from the sky, or by calling on artists to talk about the unknown in the daily life, as Mr. Marco Samichelli did, who called upon inventors and designers who have always focused on mystery, on the symbolic dimension of the mystery, and exploring new areas. And Giovanni Agosti as well, with the presence of the unknown in the daily life, in the household life. And then Francis with his incredible ability to tell about a continent that is close but unknown, such as Africa, telling about the traditions, the creed, the resources of this continent. And then Francesco Bianconi, who has addressed the topic of silence, Romeo Castellucci, who has talked about the unknown and how the unknown can materialize in theatricals. Andrea Branzi, who did an incredible job, in my opinion. He told about his life and his constant confrontation with mystery. And this is just a small number of the incredible contributions. The theme is very wide, unknown, the unknown unknown. So this is a very wide theme. I believe that each of these artists addressed it from a different perspective. As we said, the Triennale is a collection of spaces and exhibitions. So Carla and I selected the curators, and that we left the full room for maneuver to all of them, to enable them to express themselves. Mr. Paoletti, for instance, focused on materials, and he discovered materials that are artificial but appear to be alive, and then biological materials that don't look alive at all. So there's this kind of contradiction in our reality. And then Dimitri in the International Pavilion with his event is BAH managed to involve many countries. So what is important is selecting the parties involved. Then Triennale is an open space, and there are matches that are nice to discover. For instance, a match between the sorts of room of the 60s and some drawings that you can find in pavilions, or works of art that are hosted in the Saint-Cartier space, and other piece of art hosted in the design exhibition. But we'll let the visitor discover all of this. Carla, what about producing an international exhibition from the cultural point of view, and also from the organizational point of view, because such an exhibition had to be organized and built? Well, an exhibition is an abnormal wave that carries you away. It is difficult to make a difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary activity of Triennale. Triennale is a constant driver of creativity, and creativity materializes in particular in the international exhibition thanks to the identification of a common thread or a common theme, and then the contribution of international artists. The 23rd international exhibition has been organized over 18 months, so it took 18 months to prepare it. It's like an orchestra that is then meant to play harmonious music. We did exactly the same, and I believe we were successful. We involved 400 architects, designers from all over the world. We have 23 international participations. 20 have physical pavilions. 3 are part of the public program that will accompany the international exhibition going forward. And this huge intellectual and physical effort then translates into the layouts of the exhibition, which are clearly the core of any international exhibition. And this involved all the Triennale departments, as well as 60 companies and more than 350 professionals who work in the world of culture. So I really would like to highlight the incredible economic and physical effort that such an international exhibition requires. Well, you mentioned the international participations. International participations are at the very heart of international exhibitions. This means that different nations that are invited through national governments, to tackle the theme of the exhibition and provide a regional contribution. What was the contribution of the international participations to this exhibition? Well, considering the difficult times we are living through from a cultural, social, political point of view, for all the reasons that are all familiar to us, we didn't really expect such an active, numerous participation. This is why we decided to postpone this edition to have more numerous international participations. The BIE and the Foreign Affairs Ministry acted to attract international participation. So we now have 20 pavilions hosting 20 international participations, 6 African countries, thanks to the contribution of Francis Kere. For the first time, we have the Romans and Sinti Pavilion, and then, of course, the focus on Ukraine to make the culture of this country known. Different languages have been used by the international participations. I believe, however, there is a common denominator, that is to say, the theme of nature. So back we are to the theme of broken nature, and also the need to explore the inner reality of each and every one of us, and then try and involve the visitors in an active way by providing emotional contents. This is an incredible result for us, and we would like to invite all these countries to set up a long-standing relation with Triennale. Triennale can become the home of active participation, not just the opportunity to, take part in the international exhibitions. And we are already working on the next edition of the international exhibition. But you mentioned Ukraine. Ukraine is one of the countries present at the exhibition. And starting from March, immediately after the breaking out of the war, you had already started dialogue and discussion with Ukrainian artists with a project called Planet Ukraine. Can you tell a bit more about this project? Well, this is a project that we have developed with Gianluigi Recuperati, who is with us here today, who made us to make difficult choices at the beginning because we had to withdraw the invitation to the Russian government, and we decided to leave as much space as possible to the Ukrainian art and culture, which is an extraordinary country living through difficult times. We organized the forums with Gianluigi. We organized a forum in Kiev. And today we have the Ukrainian Pavilion, and we have planned several activities that will span over the next 6 months. Tomorrow we'll be hearing from the Ukrainian Minister of Culture, who will be telling us that this is a shared project. Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us. I thank you for your time, and I would like to call on the next guest, Dimitri Kerkenses. Thank you very much.
Dimitri Kerkenses is Secretary General of the Bureau International des Expositions, BIE, which is the intergovernmental organization managing world and international exposition. Together with the Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, it is currently collaborating to realize this event. The International Exhibition of Triennale Milano is the only cultural event worldwide that is recognized by BIE on a permanent basis. What does this international exhibition of Triennale represent within the framework of events you organize, and more in particular with respect to this edition?
Thank you very much. It's very interesting because, as you said, the Triennale is the event that we have permanently recognized. It's also the event that the BIE first ever recognized in the 1930s, the first event to be registered by the BIE. And so it has always had a very special place in our heart in the organization. It is very specialized in its nature. A lot of people will say, but it's much smaller than a World Expo or a specialized expo, and it's true. I'm not a big believer in bigger is always better. I do think that sometimes when you have something small, you're able to be more focused, more dynamic, and more innovative. And I think that's what we are seeing here, in particular in this edition of the Triennale. it's taking on a whole new importance. You know, I was listening to Stefano and to Carla as they were talking, and you know, there is a big importance in the participation of countries in such an event. We are asking countries to come every 3 years to discuss a particular theme at a given time, and these countries have to find it interesting. They have to understand why they want to come. They have to have something innovative and something dynamic to say. It's one of these unique opportunities for me that I see for artists, designers, and architects to really come together and to be able to show that, you know, our differences should not be what separate us. It should be more what can bring us together, the way that we can see different ideas and different solutions that are proposed to these kind of projects. These are the reasons why we should be able to accept differing points of view in order to try and bring our societies closer together. At the same time, I think it's very important to note that whereas the international participants have a very hard job of coming here and setting up pavilions and, you know, being really ready with their exhibitions that they're showing, I think sometimes we underestimate the work that goes on here in Milan. Because when you look at world expos and specialized expos, these events move around the world. Just a few months ago, we closed Expo 2020 in Dubai. Before that, we were in Kazakhstan. Before that, in Korea. Before that, in China. When you go to these events in different countries, it's normal that the host is already going to have his own ideals, his own values that he's going to put across, and that countries will come and try and put forward their ideas and values and messages on this theme. But here, we are asking Stefano and Carla every 3 years to be in the same place and yet to innovate enough that they can keep on making this event interesting in a way that we could be very easily criticized, say, but it's always in Milan, it's always the same thing, but it's not. Because first of all, you see the multitude of countries. You see countries coming from across the spectrum of the world, but also having been in the BIE for almost 20 years, what I can tell you is that these group of countries, they're not the same ones that come to every single Triennale. Right. And we see the number of countries growing, the countries are changing. I have seen the incredible work that has been done by the curators of this edition, and I'm very much looking forward to actually exploring this, because having seen Broken Nature 3 years ago, now I'm really enthusiastic to see what they have come up with now. And we have heard so much about it in all the presentations in Paris that, you know, it's kind of, the moment hasn't arrived yet, but I'll wait one more evening before I see it. But I think this is, you know, what makes this event truly special. This is why so many countries want to come here and they want to show this, and they want to kind of give us their ideas and their values that they put across to us, and to try and give decent solutions for the world. You know, Unknown Unknowns for me was, you know, the first time I heard it, I remember, you know, thinking, what? You know, I come again? You know, yes, it's, what don't I know? And then I realized a lot, you know, it's, and I think that even then when they came up with it today, given the context of what is going on, with a pandemic, with new conflicts springing up there where we did not expect them, with constant economic shifts around the world, this has taken on a whole new level of importance. And I think that the world is looking at Milan right now in a different way than we expected it to. You know, it's something that has a value of this. The world the last 3 years has basically been torn apart. And right. We are here trying to bring it back together and putting these ideas forward, because the truth is, Unknown Unknowns, when you think about it, makes a lot of sense. We always talk about the age of discoveries, but discoveries still take place every day. And that means that there's still plenty that we don't know. And I think it's going to be quite an exquisite exhibition, and I very much look forward to seeing it.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Grazie.
Thank you, Dimitri. Now I'd like to invite on stage our next guest, Francisco Bianconi, architect. Good morning. He was awarded the Pritzker Architecture Prize, the most important international recognition in architecture. Francis, together with Ercilia Vaudo, is main curator of the 23rd International Exhibition. Francis Kere has set up 4 installations on images and voices of the African continent that mark the journey of the visit from the outside to the inside of Triennale. Burkina Faso, that is participating for the first time at this exhibition, engaged you for the design of their pavilion, and it is the very first time that there is such a strong presence of Africa in an international exhibition. What is the value?
First of all, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don't believe I will be able to answer in Italian, which is a shame because I love this country so much, and especially Milan, but I will not be able to reply in Italian.
No worries.
But I understood the content. First of all, for me, it's a great honor to have been given the opportunity to work with Australia, and of course, Mr. President Stefano, and many others, and to make happen this wonderful exhibition. It's a great honor for me. Now for Burkina Faso. I mean, let's talk about the right things. If you think about all of these great exhibitions around the world, this big, huge continent with so many great countries is always excluded. So, first of all, for Burkina Faso, Lesotho, Rwanda, Ghana, the Central Republic of Congo, and Ghana, it's a great possibility to say, hey, we're not just little countries that are starving and you need to help us. You know, we have an opportunity and great things to share with the world. And so Burkina Faso. Everyone knows the country because we have not a civil war. The country is going through terror attack. But for a country like Burkina Faso to be in Milan and talk about what matter, that art, and culture matter, is so fundamental. It's a great chance to show something different than we in the West know about it. And I still believe that it is close to the topic of the unknown unknowns, because simply Africa is a huge continent, is the closest neighbor to Europe. But sometimes if you follow the news, you have a feeling we don't know much from each other. And that is why it's so important for a country like Burkina Faso and the other to have been given the chance to participate.
Thank you.
Go.
I keep asking questions in Italian, but you can understand Italian. At the heart of all your projects, there is a very strong connection with tradition, with the past that is made current and reused to look forward, to try and better understand the unknown unknown. So what is the common thread joining these 4 projects that you'll be exhibiting at the 23rd International Exhibition at Triennale?
The 4
yeah.
Okay, very simple. First of all, it's about an attempt to demonstrate design capacity from a place that is not really known a lot. And from our own work, to gather together is always important in the center of my work, to create space for people, no matter their financial situation, to create comfortable space for everyone, has always been what I'm doing. And then innovation and inspiration. But what these 4 installations have in common is very simple. They try to talk about being positive. They try to call us, hey, come on, don't be surprised by a loud, noisy city on the road. If you are in Milan, take time to go, find a quiet place to sit and reflect what you have seen. So at the entrance, we have a tower where we really want to invite the visitor to enter and forget the burden we have today. We have climate change, that is fact, material limitation, conflict, very hard conflict, and population growth. Don't tell me that you don't know about population growth. Population growth is putting a pressure to some countries, and people are moving to find better life. So we all are concerned. What I want to do with the tower, with my team, we want not a visitor to just enter and then start to move the eyes up and see, like, between us, human being, and the sky, there is space for imagination. So to discover the unknown, or to have energy to be ready to tackle the unknown unknowns. And this goes all the way until to the Lavazza installation, where we want to recall everybody. Every little single cup of a coffee is the result of a bean of a coffee tree. And so we want people to sit and reflect what they have seen during this exhibition, and then think, maybe enter to dialogue with the neighbor, and potentially, if they come with little kids, like bambinos, they can go under the trunk of the tree and discover a mystery. So this go with drawing together, where you will see Burkinabe artisan, call them whatever you want. They will be standing, they try to use natural product to create a mural painting, which is telling a story, and which is talking about participation. So it starts always intuitive, but everyone can be part of it. And here, the women are inviting the public, I don't know how much space we will have, to join and to really try to experience a tradition that is vital in Burkina Faso.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for being here with us, Francis. Thank you. And now I would like to call on Ercilia Vaudo, astrophysicist and Chief Diversity Officer at the European Space Agency and main curator of the international exhibition, to come to stage, together with Joseph Grimmer from the Space Caviar Studio, who designed the layout of the exhibition. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here today with us. We heard the beautiful words by Francis, and today I would like to understand better what are the themes that run through the exhibition, particularly the thematic exhibition that is the backbone of the 23rd International Exhibition. What are the topics that are addressed? Well, first of all, I would like to thank our president, Mr. Stefano Boere, Carlos Francis, who was a major source of inspiration for all of us, and then Joseph, of course, whom I've shared this experience with. As we already said, considering the tradition of Triennale that has always dealt with topical subjects, the need of addressing the unknown and what we don't know could become an opportunity to unleash creativity that could run across different disciplines and different times. Being aware that the unknown recalls a number of stereotypes, dark and light, black and white, empty and full. So we didn't want to focus on stereotypes. We are well aware that the unknown is mainly a matter of a gaze, the look at the unknown. That's why we selected 100 works that from designers, architects and artists, and also researchers. So we wanted to have all of them to make the unknown not to become something remote, but rather a dimension which we can abandon to the opportunity to widen our perspective, something new which was probably not part of our lives, and that becomes a source of surprise. And poetry as well. And when the 6 degrees we look at the world become 8, this brings about a transformation. And this is why we wanted to address the unknown as a dimension you can abandon to. What are the projects that belong to this storytelling? As I said, there are so many projects. I'm going to show just a number of them to follow the storytelling. So this is one of the works exhibited. It is a kind of orbit revolving around center of gravity, and the anthropocentric dimension is progressively abandoned to reach in inaccessible realities, but then go back to the Earth, to go back to the planet. So we start with Sutsuki, which is a digital musical work. So a planet that is linked with the local community, given by the noises that are generated on our planet. Our 5 senses are one of the limits and one of the traps we fall in when we try and dialogue with the unknown. So the 5 senses are then activated during this parkour, exhibition parkour, and then not to fall into a stereotype of the unknown, we decided to start with this incredible painting by Melsheimer, 1609, Escape to Egypt, painted by Caravaggio. When Galileo was starting his discoveries of the universe, I would like to thank Giovanni Agosti for showing me this painting for the first time. What is extraordinary about this painting is that in a small painting that is really a A4 sheet, in a small painting you see clearly the Milky Way for the first time. So this is something we are all familiar with, but it is the result of observation. And so it is also an invitation to take time and look at things and observe the world around us. And then the Milky Way was also a way to point out that 100 years ago, when the Triennale was set up, only 100 years ago, men believed that there was nothing else beyond the Milky Way. The Milky Way was the whole universe. In 1925, Hubble discovered that Andromeda is out of the Milky Way, and here we started the discovery of the universe. Today we know we are 1 out of 200 billions of galaxies, but one day the distance between galaxies will be such that the sky will become completely dark because the universe goes on expanding, and even the most powerful telescopes will not enable us to see all the other galaxies. So universe is a mystery that is circular, has a circular movement, doesn't progress in a way, doesn't shed new light on the unknown. And that's why we wanted to start with this painting. Because in this exhibition, science, poetry, and reflection, and being able to look at things are key elements. And then we want to stick to the Triennale tradition as well. So gravity is the main and first designer. The Boscosotti work shows the work of the craftsman who gives shapes to things and looks constantly for perfection. Here you see the perfection of celestial bodies, but then this small star, or actually this small comet that looks like a duck, has a completely different shape that is ages away from the idea of a perfect universe. So again, the message of the importance of perfection. And then when art and poetry meet, these are watercolor paintings of 1900, this artist used to look at the sky 3 times a day. He used to paint it with this watercolor so that the Weather Forecast Bureau could make weather forecasts. And here you see the different lights during the day and how the sky changes during the day. And this can also trigger a scientific observation. And then the theme of the exhibition is the unknown unknowns. So it's what we don't know. And it's not just the unknown. And this may lead to kind of acceptance by the human being. I don't know, so why should I be concerned about it? But there is a common thread that comes back over and over again. Math has been able, on many occasions, to discover unexpected realities. So mathematics make it possible to discover the universe was expanding, but then the idea was rejected for centuries. And then the discovery of the antimatter, that again was something that was not believed in, and 3 years later was rediscovered by Anderson, and Anderson was awarded a Nobel Prize. So mathematics is a language, is not a keyhole on the unknown, but is a language of the universe that we have to learn, and we have to learn to understand. And then another theme I wanted to add is time. Time is not necessarily unknown. I rely on the ESA data. The Gaia universe was the largest effort to map the stars of the Milky Way. And now we know how the skies will look over the next millions of years. So the future is not necessarily unknown. There is also a deterministic future, and we'll be describing it, describing this clash between Andromeda and our galaxy. And then we'll be looking at the planet from a distance to find this sense of belonging, the sense of belonging to a reality that transcends us, but it also includes us, and is also the source of a great emotion. And I would like to conclude with this picture. This is the deepest picture of the universe that was announced by Biden yesterday. The first 5 pictures of the James Webb that will be made public shortly. This was released yesterday. This is the deepest picture of the universe we have. The farther you look, the more back in time you go. We have many generations of galaxies in one single picture. This is a family picture, if you will, that almost goes back to the origin of galaxies. And in a way, this is, in my opinion, the best way to recall that if it is true that what Leibniz used to say, if there is something rather than nothing, something is easier. So probably this is the best way to ask questions to ourselves and find answers. Thank you very much for your incredible explanation. And now I would like to move from stars to real Earth. The thematic exhibition was created entirely with 3D printing using only organic material. And this is the first time that everything is printed on site in an exhibition space. Can you tell us how this idea came about and how you developed the project? Well, first of all, we had to take a step back. We didn't start with the idea of creating the exhibition entirely with 3D printing. We started from the provocation by Ercilia to look beyond the constraints we are used to on this planet and to go beyond the practices and the methods that we normally use when we build something. it is important, when you look at space, it is important to question your practice, your habits. So looking at the current research on construction on other planets, on the moon, for instance, we realize that scarcity of resources make it necessary to use the scant resources that you can find on site. And there are numerous research studies that suggest that 3D printing can be used to use material that is present on the moon, for instance, to build the buildings there. Hence our idea, why shouldn't we borrow from the space to bring back to the Earth something that could be meaningful to the Earth as well? Using advanced technology, we can use a very poor material, like soil, for instance, or clay, or other materials that are available almost everywhere, almost on all planets, to build something. And with Camila Oliveira, who supported us, and Sofia Belen and my team, we started considering how we can use a completely different approach, but also how we can provide this, again, universal dimension to what we do. So we started considering how a construction site could be built here on site at the Triennale. I think it is very nice to use exhibition spaces as labs, not just research labs, but also practical labs, because we are witnessing the advent of new technologies that really have made it possible to do all of this. So we started from this idea of gravity that Ercilia suggested. We then considered the shape of the orbits, and then we started from this invisible point of the curve of the orbit that is located at the very center of the building, and then we developed the rest of the layout. I don't want to unveil too much, but this is, again, this has been an opportunity to discover the full potential of this technology, and at the same time, the opportunity to change our approach to the creation of an exhibition by using completely different material, for instance. That can be, again, a very poor material that can be disposed of easily. And I would like to thank WASP in this regard, our technopartners who have developed, this is an incredible Italian company, a world leader in 3D printing. And then another Italian company, Rice House, that has carried out research on the materials that we could use. So all these people have embraced this unconventional approach that has turned out to be very successful. So this was just a preview. Then you'll be able to see also all the pieces that have not been used will be used on different occasions. So because, as I said, it is all organic material. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for telling us about the thematic exhibition. Thank you both for your time. And now I would like to call on Marco Sammicheli, who is the director of the Triennale Milano's Italian Design Museum, and Enrica Caverzan and Marco Zavagno of Zaven Studio, designers of the exhibition. Because on top of the thematic exhibition, the 23rd International Exhibition hosts two other major exhibitions, one titled La Tradizione del Nuovo, that was, as I said, organized by the Zaven Studio and curated by Marco Sammicheli.
Marco, why did you choose this title, and what does it tell us about the design world and about this project? Tradizione del Nuovo, the tradition of what is new, describes a main feature of Italian design. an approach to research that marked human lives of at least 4 generations of designers, entrepreneurs, artists, researchers that populated the history of Italian design. La Tradizione del Nuovo is an exhibition of research works because it was research that allowed Italian design to put together a vision of the world and face the adventure of knowledge. This is a historical exhibition, the exhibition that the Museo del Design Italiano di Triennale developed together with the team I'm a member of, and that also represents the Italian Pavilion. Since the second half of the 60s until the end of the 90s, Triennale Milano as an institution has been hosting from the 13th to the 19th edition of the international exhibition. These were platforms that generated demand and requests and launched a whole set of themes that were then developed by the Triennale exhibitions. And indeed, this exhibition is a sort of curve where the history of the various Triennale exhibitions opens up to thematic approaches. We put together the research of the Italian design, the body, dresses, garment, material, homes. These are the questions that the curators and directors of the Triennale Museum have asked themselves, and I recovered them from our archives, and I staged them because we didn't answer these questions in a final way. So these questions are still very up to date, very current. There is an installation dating back to 1991, and this opens the exhibition thanks to Zaven's insight. Instead of a bell by Bruno Munari and Mosconi, 1991, it stages a whole set of doors. Behind these doors, there are surprises. There are different horizons that hide an idea of unknown. Also, the willingness to face this unknown through the nurturing of a discipline like Italian design. We have the arts, engineering, science, technology, but we also have a great humanity and humanism. The exhibition is very rich, 600 works by men and women who again nurtured imagination and explained the world that material culture is part of our everyday life. This is what we call Tradizione del Nuovo, the tradition of what is new. Thank you very much. Let's say that this is a very alluring description of how you worked to realize this exhibition. Now I'd like to ask both of you, what is the suggestion you followed to design this setup, this layout, and what were the elements that converged in this construction phase? First of all, I'd like to thank you all for having me here. I'd like to thank the president of Triennale, the director, and all the team that supported us in this work. The main idea, inspiration we got from the tales, the stories that Marco told us. He told us the stories behind these objects exhibited at the museum. So we discovered things that we ignored. This was the very first inspiration because we discovered that there was a period of meetings of artists, designers, joining forces, creating groups. And this was the very first inspiration, trying to understand the stories behind these objects, speaking about the people and not the object that is exhibited. So there is a set of pictures from the archives and drawings from the archives telling us these stories that Marco told us. And then we put together the ideas of the transition from the city and then moving to more conventional spaces such as homes, houses, public and private spaces. Therefore, the exhibition develops along these corridors and rooms. But what was interesting to us when we speak about tradition and research is that you need to look forward, but also to look backward, because this is very functional to our journey. So the visitor is invited not just to look forward, but also to look backward, discovering something that was hidden before, to understand how important history and tradition are to our future. Thank you very much. Would you like to add something? Marco, you already covered the project very well, but I'd like to add a few remarks during this journey of archipelagos that develop along the curve, along the corridors of La Triennale. We showed these sets up with architecture works in a way showing the work of all these artists that Marco selected. So we created a very open journey, which is not only one way, but as Marco anticipated, it allows visitors to discover what's surrounding them, to look upward and down. And every single time we do this, we go along this journey, we find unexpected things. And our invitation is to visitors to do the same thing. Thank you very much. So the Tradizione del Nuovo is one of the two exhibitions. The other is Mondo Reale, the real world. And this is another exhibition that was organized by Fondation Cartier pour l'Art Contemporain of Paris, and there is 8-year partnership with the Triennale. I'd like to invite Hervé Chandès, Director General of the Fondation Cartier, together with the Forma Fantasta, the designers of the layout, and there's just one representative from Forma Fantasma. In what ways the unknown is part of our real life? I was afraid you would ask this question.
Comment commencer? L'exposition s'appelle Monde réel parce que au fond, c'est le seul avec
entitled Mondo Reale, Real World, because this is the world we are in touch with. This is the world with which us or myself as a participant in this exhibition can relate, can interact, because this exhibition means triggering reactions, and this is Stefano Boeri's invitation to us all. It is also something new for our foundation, because we are part of this 23rd International Exhibition at Triennale in Milan that sort of imposes upon us this theme of the unknown. When we discussed the theme for the first time with Stefano and Ersilia, we welcomed this theme with great pleasure. We were surprised, but we were also very pleased. And the subtitle, Introduction to Mysteries, is the title of a book that we published some years ago as Fondation Cartier on the occasion of an exhibition on mathematics. A sudden displacement, and there are some works exhibited here. This is a book that was curated by Michel Gandolf, a Russian iconic mathematician in our century that performed a geometric revolution. And there are also pictures by Jessica Wynne and the recording of a text by Patti Smith. Let's go back to the title, Mondo Reale. This is our real world. This is our world. Therefore, this is an exhibition that, based on my intentions, was set up very quickly. No reflections were made. this was an exhibition that meant to be welcoming, to be receiving visitors, because mysteries, the unknown, is something that we receive, that we welcome. It can also be a mystery that we are interested in, that we research, even though the aspect of research is everywhere in this exhibition. The original idea, rather than idea, this is an exhibition of emotions, feelings, and this is a very open exhibition. Anybody can live a different experience of this exhibition, a different experience of the world. There is a meteorological dimension of this exhibition because it is the weather that accompanies us in our journey across this world. This is a very feeling-based exhibition. It is very much oriented to feelings and emotions. Again, it was set up in a very quick manner, and the approach to it must be very quick. You'll be seeing some works, as I said, some taken from the exhibition on mathematics I mentioned before, and also another exhibition. The title is Ce qui arrive. In English was Unknown Quantity. And this is an exhibition that we set up 12 years ago. And you see some video clips that were recorded then. You'll be watching conversations with Paul Verillo, who was the curator of this exhibition. So all this to say that this exhibition should be meant as a rêverie, as a sort of promenade, as a walk. And every single work in its aesthetics, in its approach to things, to feelings, every single work is unique. And I believe this is an exhibition where you have to let yourself go. Every single work will inspire some questions, and there might be no answers. These questions are open-ended. This is an exhibition that will give you the wish to discover even more. It is like a childish kind of exhibition, I would say. Thank you very much, and apologies. I'd like to thank all the various teams. I can't see all the members of these teams, but I'd like to thank in particular some of the artists who are participating in this exhibition. I cannot see them because it is very dark in this room, but I'd like to quote a list of artists such as Aleph, very first time this artist is participating, Jessica Wynn, Alex Servini, Fabrice Hibert, André Ugita, and Jan Kevi. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you very much. And I would like to thank Forma Fantasma as well, that led the design of the exhibition. And how does the exhibition design contribute to conveying the concepts of wonder and mystery that are the very heart of the exhibition? Well, first of all, the invitation by Fondation Cartier and by Hervé was an incredible opportunity for us, because in modern contemporary art, canons are used generally, the white cube. Well, Fondation Cartier gave us the opportunity to use a completely different approach, our personal approach in exhibiting the works. And we started from the title of the exhibition, Mondo Reale, and we pondered about the reality of a modern exhibition. And so we considered a number of aspects, like, the environmental impact of a contemporary exhibition. And therefore, we decided to use recycled materials or paper to create fragile walls, separating walls that sometimes may question the power of the work of art. In other cases, can enhance the expressive power of the work of art itself. So the idea was that of having a very gentle and empathic design, so a design that is empathic with the works that are exhibited, but that also stick to the criteria that we embraced in our studio, for instance, reducing the impact as much as possible by using, for instance, paper or material used in exhibitions already organized, already used in other exhibitions. Thank you very much. Can I add something? The idea of resorting to forma fantasma was an idea we immediately had. We started a dialogue initially. It was a bit abstract dialogue, at least on my side. What I appreciated in working with forma fantasma is that they tried to surprise us. We gave them the largest room for maneuver, and in this way we managed to rediscover, and be constantly surprised. Thank you very much, Fondazione Cartier and Forma Fantasma. And now I would like to call on stage Emanuele Coccia. Emanuele Coccia is part and parcel of this exhibition because besides these two exhibitions, there are a number of projects that are integral part of the exhibitions. And the first project that welcomes the visitors into the main hall of the Triennale is the Portal of Mysteries. So you were asked to develop this video installation to summarize the main topic of this exhibition. So what was the say common thread that you followed? Well, first of all, I would like to thank Stefano Boeri. We started dialoguing at the very beginning of the project because I was one of the people who contributed to the birth of this exhibition. I was asked by Stefano because, first of all, the idea of this exhibition was the idea of having an exhibition that was a constellation. We can't think of having one single voice to be heard to explain everything, since we're talking about the unknown and what we don't know. So the idea was that of having a constellation of artists, of projects, of spaces. So I was put in contact with Arcilia, Francisco, Romeo, Stefano Agosti, Hervé, and all the others, to try and understand, first of all, what they were doing. And this is something that I was already doing because I was in charge of the catalog. Together with the Dot Dot studio in Milan and the Prop studio, we realized that in our relationship with the universe, what emerges is what we don't know. In fact, whatever we do sees the contribution of the planet. So the climate change, for instance, shows that our fate, the fate of our planet, is intertwined with what the human being does. And having the planet inside each and all of us changes the perspective altogether, because it's like having a space inside us that directs our actions. And this is the idea of our video. Whatever we do today, be it politics, design, architecture, art, school, whatever, even our everyday life is centered on our planet and implies the planet living inside ourselves. the video was also meant to highlight the courage and the courage of putting at the center of the exhibition that is generally devoted to architecture and art, the unknown, and which in fact is the planet, as Ercilia pointed out, talking about the planet, looking at our planet. We can't avoid talking about the sky, the universe, and the stars. So that was at the core of our video. And another message that the video is trying and conveying, which I believe is common to all the projects that are part of the exhibition, is that we can no longer confine ourselves to unveiling the universe, unveiling the unknown, but rather living with the mystery, coexisting with the mystery. That is exactly what we have been doing with the weather, for instance. Weather forecasts has been there forever, but we all grant the sky total and absolute freedom. So we can forecast what happens in the next 5 minutes, but then we accept the mystery of this incredible laboratory of colors and shapes and feelings. So that is the weather and the weather forecast. So it's also acceptance from a certain point of view. Well, no, more than acceptance it is coexistence in a love relationship. I know it may sound a bit new age. It is, in fact, new age, but in a love relationship, instead of mapping the other person completely, we come to a point that we accept the mystery of the other person in the relationship, which is what makes us affectionate about this person. And this happens also with our planet. You're also the curator of the catalogue of the exhibition that includes 2 volumes published by Electa. How do the publications complement the exhibition? Well, first of all, some advertising. I've just received the catalogue, let's say freshly baked from the oven. So 2 volumes. Why? Well, first of all, because it was important for the catalogue to bear the work that has been carried out over the past months, and it had to contain the pictures of the installations, most of which have been developed for this international exhibition and that will disappear immediately afterwards. So the idea came from studying the past catalogues of Triennale and Fondation Cartier. Namely, the catalogue should not be considered as a document, a mere document, but rather as an additional exhibition space where you can address new topics, new themes. So this is the idea that generated the first catalogue. The second catalogue is the result of the work of young scholars from all over the world. I didn't call on the famous ones. So I asked these scholars not to map the unknown, because this would be a contradiction, but to produce a tarot, something that could direct in the mystery of the unknown. And this is a kind of a tarot book or guidebook that tells us about the unknown that populates our daily lives. Okay. Let's now move on to the Red Corridor. The Red Corridor is a project by Giovanni Agosti and Jacopo Stoppa, and it has been designed by Margherita Palli. So I call on Jacopo Stoppa and Margherita Palli. Please join me on stage. Unfortunately, Giovanni Agosti couldn't be with us, but he sent a short video that we are going to watch together now. The Red Corridor is a corridor that is located in the house where I live, and it's full of the many mysteries that populate my life. So a mysterious video. We have already unveiled it all. So what is the Red Corridor and what are the mysteries that it conceals? Well, we started from one of Ercilia's ideas. They visited this place, and she reported that she shivered exactly as she does when she explores the universe. And based on this emotion, we tried to convey this emotion, adding something that we normally do, that is exhibition of ancient art. So we started from a well-known place, let's say, a common place, if you will, a corridor, and we built it thanks to the contribution of Margherita Palli and her company. And we have concealed mysteries there too, because if you look at a place that is familiar, you may nevertheless find something that apparently you know, but in fact are completely different. So we added 4 doors and 2 bathrooms. So the real exhibition is 4 doors on 4 different themes, universal themes. And then we collected a number of paintings, old paintings and modern paintings. So in the first room, you find a drawing by Leonardo, a drawing on the moon, and then some incisions by Galileo, who first made the drawings and then the engravings. And then we have a picture that very similar to the picture that Ercilia showed. When I saw it, I was a bit shocked because I thought it was a preview. But anyway, in the next room, I'm not going to unveil it all. There is a automaton that is activated by the visitors. That automaton was preserved in the Wunderkammer. There was a room built in the 1700, and then there is a very large picture on the Universal Deluge with all the main theme, the earth, the fire, the water, and so on. And I would say this is, in a nutshell, the exhibition. It's a dialogue between a closed environment, like a corridor or a room in a bourgeois palace in Milan, and the door open on new worlds. Well, we shouldn't unveil too much because this is a very fascinating idea. And then Margherita Palli has worked hard to recreate a space that exists. Well, this is my job, in fact. I recreate true or unreal worlds, but starting from something that exists. So I knew the professor's house. I had visited it. It was just a matter of transforming this red corridor in something real. I made an attempt. So that was a corridor of a bourgeois palace, wherever it is located, but with all the characteristics of a bourgeois house or bourgeois palace, with all its dust and books and objects. But the most fascinating part was working with the craftsmen. We hear so much about recycling. Well, the corridor is made with wood only. We felled the tree only once, then the wood is was chipped and then recompacted. Then we used 3D technology to reconstruct the handles of a Etrurian house. So, in other words, this Etrurian tomb bathroom also contains the limestone of the bathtub, for instance. So very fruitful recreation. And then we developed, we prepared this booklet, again a dialogue between what is true and what is unreal. You may find it in the bookstores. Thank you very much. And now I would like to call on Francesco Bianconi, musician and writer. Mamma mia. Mamma mia.
Mr. Bianconi has set up an installation playing the unknown that he realized in person, and for it a track was composed. The title is L'Ignoto. Everything started with Ersilia, the time when she illustrated this very fascinating theme. I live in the world of rock or pop music, where everything is very well known. Songs are so well known and so finite that they are disposable. The star hits are thrown away goods, and I like to sort of disassemble this idea. So I divided the song into different tracks so that the visitor can play with the unknown, being pleased by playing with the unknown. The composition of songs, so all creative professions are a sort of workshop, a laboratory, where you play to assemble and disassemble the unknown. This is a great bet with the unknown that you all make when composing a song. So the visitor will enter this dark room. There is going to be a keyboard. I don't want to reveal too much. And playing some keys, some instruments, will play the tracks that compose the song. So every single time the song will change based on the visitors touching different keys. So each visitor will have its own mix of the unknown. Every visitor will be a sound engineer of his or her ignoto, unknown. Can we listen to the song? This is my version. What you'll be hearing now is my version, but it will never be as finite as this one, because every single visitor will compose his or her own. Thank you.
L'odio, le forme di vita, le patologie, gli occhi che hanno scattato miliardi di fotografie, il linguaggio di certe meduse, le malinconie, buchi neri, ergosfere, asteroidi con le loro scie. Percentuali di oceani intricati, sistemi di spore, i motivi reali del killer, il pezzo di cielo inquadrato nell'ultimo scampolo di mamma Roma. La tristezza e la gioia del circo e della lotteria, la sostanza del corpo di Cristo nell'Eucaristia. Ma che ne sai di tutto questo? Che ne sai di amore e morte? Che ne sai? Cos'è che vuoi? L'ontologia, la verità, il quadro, la totalità. Non te lo chiedi, è stanco ormai, sotto la pioggia te ne vai. Nell'ignoto ci sono i colori che andranno di moda. C'è tua figlia che cerca un cerino nell'oscurità. Le canzoni impossibili per la discografia. Nell'ignoto hanno forma il destino e la filosofia. Perché è vero che è giusto non vivere come dei bruti e a seguire virtù e conoscenza mi dedico anch'io, ma dovremmo anche bene imparare a giocare al mistero, come i passeri perdersi in volo ed avere pietà della nostra incolmabile umana distanza da Dio.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to you. This is the very first time that we'll be hearing this song, and that will also be the last time. And then every visitor will recreate his own version. Now I'd like to invite on stage Ingrid Paoletti, researcher and professor at the Politecnico of Milan, Department ABC. Ingrid, together with a team of researchers from Politecnico di Milano, installed Alchemic Laboratory, an experiential place that questions the concept of matter. Here we have both inert matter and living matter. In the Alchemic Laboratory, you investigate this border and show how these two categories through which we classify matter are very blurred. What will the visitors find in this laboratory? Well, mankind keeps changing its concept of matter through science and culture. And when Stefano asked me this question, which is very urgent and bright, what is the matter of creativity? What is research working on? I believe this could be a reading key. On one side, we have science that investigates in depth, but as Ercilia shows, the deeper it goes, the more it discovers that there is plenty of unknown things. And the other side, nature has changed. It is not that divine or unreachable, but there is a respect we have to go back. So now borders are blurred. The laboratory has this idea of something that keeps changing. Alchemistry is the opening up to something uncertain, so it crosses these borders. The visitors will find artificial materials such as polymers that self-repair, like natural materials, and this is what we do when we are injured, and the same goes for polymers. So we'll find moss that produces energy, or we'll find inert matter which is not living. So what I'd like the visitors to do is to leave this laboratory with more questions than answers, so that this can be motion representing life, creative liveliness. Thank you, Ingrid. Now, amongst the artists engaged in the international exhibition, we also have the Grand Invité of Triennale, Romeo Castellucci, who is in Salzburg for the debut of his new work, and he sent a message.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Romeo Castellucci. I can't be with you today, so I'll try and briefly describe my contribution to the international exhibition. My first work is entitled Tomorrow. Well, it's a very simple action that is performed walking. So there is a barefoot woman walking in this large room who appears to be directed by the small shoe of a baby. The shoe is placed on a pole. There is a young tree that appears to direct the direction to follow. This small shoe refers to a being who doesn't exist yet, or will be existing soon, or someone who is no longer there. It is definitely something that suggests the emotional bond that exists between the woman and the shoe and what it represents. She would like to reach it with her hand. She stretches the arm out, but she fails to reach it because the pole is too high. My second contribution takes place on stage in the theatre, and there's no man-made object on the scene, and there's only the viewers who are there who will be seeing a large slab of light that occupies the whole stage, and that at a certain point in time falls and collapses on the audience. And this slab of light falls slowly and until the light completely disappears and the whole room is in deep darkness. The collapse of the slab of light refers to the lack of vision. So what cannot be seen is something that should be seen. So I hope I haven't said enough, because I believe it is up to the visitor to interpret, to read a work of art. The artist should remain silent. Talking about one's own artistic work is a sign of weakness, but this is something I do willingly, nevertheless, not to be unpolite. And also because I cannot be there in person, so I thought it was appropriate to say something about my work. This is it on my side. Thank you very much. I wish you a nice experience, and I do hope you'll enjoy the exhibition. Thank you very much. Thank you, Romeo Castellucci. And another main protagonist of our international exhibition is Andrea Branzi, who has made a movie on his professional experience, telling about the unknown through an, let's say, autobiographical story, and he sent a short video. I've decided to make a video on my professional career to show that I've never considered architecture as the art to build, to construct buildings, but rather as visual exceptions. Architecture belongs to theater, in my view. It belongs to performance, to theory, to experimenting, theoretical experimenting, to poetry, to music. So, architecture is also a, let's say, teaching experience, but my view on architecture is different than the traditional view on architecture. Probably it's more philosophical in nature, more intellectual, and definitely different and new compared with the traditional approach to architecture. In my book, architecture is an experience that during the international exhibition will show how we can ponder and experience and get to know or collect knowledge in a different way than the traditional practices of the traditional architecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrea. Eni Lavazza are the main partners of the 23rd International Exhibition, and they actively contributed to realize it. Now I'd like to invite on stage Federico Grati, who is the head of the Agro-Energy Services unit, business unit of ENI. What is to you the collaboration with the Triennale? In what ways were you engaged in the exhibition? Thank you very much. I take this opportunity to thank the President and his collaborators for their invitation. We are very happy, and even today we learned a lot and we received very many insights on this theme of the unknown. We are approaching it with curiosity, but also with enjoyment. This is an opportunity to do something very different from what we normally do in our daily activity. ENI is the main partner of this exhibition, and we are very happy to consolidate our collaboration with Triennale. Thank you very much. We are very happy to be here. As you all know, ENI is working in very many different countries across the world. Oftentimes, we interface ourselves with culture and countries that are unknown to us. And in particular, in 2022, thanks to the exhibition, we feel at home because the African continent is home to us. We have been working there since when ENI was established, and today we have plenty of new initiatives moving towards the unknown, such as circular economy, ecological and energy transition that must be fair, respectful of cultures, of local economies. So this is the theme that we would like to convey as a value, because we are producing renewable energy in Africa. We are trying to make this energy affordable to all, and also we are trying to understand how the African continent can be vertically integrated in this energy transition that is engaging all of us. So this is the most important theme to us. In what ways our transition models, ecological energy transition models, can be fair and equitable, not only sustainable socially, economically, but also respectful of different cultures, so that we can have a fair transition. I deal with agriculture, and agriculture is one of the pillars for the continent, for the African continent economy. One way in which the African countries can be actively involved in this transition. So we have a very small installation that you can visit, where we show some pictures of the agricultural projects that we have been developing with local farmers to grant an access to the market to local farmers, but being respectful of cultures, different cultures, and respectful of the land. And we can collaborate to improve this project. Now I'd like to invite on stage Francesca Lavazza, who is president of Lavazza Group, the other main partner of the 23rd International Exhibition. Thank you. Thank you, Francesca. Lavazza Group, besides being the main partner of the international exhibition, is also engaged in the realization of the under coffee tree installation by Francis Kere that can be found at Café Triennale. What are the values that this project conveys, and how is it a part of the collaboration with Triennale? Well, this edition is very important to us because it underlines the importance of our collaboration with Triennale after the 22nd edition of the Expo. We are not only an institutional partner, but also an intentional partner, because we share a lot of intentions with this venue of culture, which mixes the arts, social aspects, and economic aspects. So what we want to promote is this concept of positive art, propositional art, an art that must engage the largest number of people, also trying to address the largest audience. And I believe that this edition of the exhibition will pose questions, will deal with the unknown, and will cover doubts that can be important to try and find shared solutions. And we had the opportunity to collaborate with Francis Kere. This was a great source of pride for us all, because the project which was put forth under a coffee tree was ours even before we met, because this project comes from a physical place, a tradition like a tree, to create below this tree a house, a home, a public place where to meet, to exchange opinions, ideas, where to rest, where to connect and to relate in a very deep and authentic manner. And this installation can be found at the center of our Café Triennale, reconsidered through concepts like ethics. And the product itself is an expression of these projects that we want to provide to our audience. So this is a tree that will be welcoming visitors. We'll try and establish relationships between different people, children, adults, designers, the general audience looking for rest. You are all invited to sit on these benches because they're very comfortable, beyond your imagination, and be amazed. And once you drink this cup of coffee, you are invited to think of the many mysteries that it conceals, because inside a coffee cup there is a whole universe, very many things that are known to us, and there also the ability to connect, to relate with a world which is far away from us. Africa is a main continent, because in Ethiopia there is the only wild plantation where we collect coffee beans and offer to our audience. So Africa plays a key role in our company. Coffees are our roots. This tree has very deep roots. This tree is a piece of architecture, so you're all invited to question the mysteries hidden in a coffee cup, mysteries that we have not discovered after 130 years of our activity in the coffee field. Thank you very much. We're about to close, so I'd like to invite on stage once again Stefano Boeri and Carla Morogallo for their concluding remarks. Thank you. Now, I'd like to remind you all that at 4 we'll be presenting some color pictures of the James Webb Telescope, pictures that we might have already seen. And Triennale Milano is the only cultural institution that can welcome this presentation, thanks to Ersilia. So collaboration between ESA and NASA. Thank you very much. We exceeded the time allocated to us because it was important to speak about this constellation. This is what it has become. We now have started collaborating with the Milanese universities, and that's what we'll be doing for the next 6 months. And also, I would like to speak about the collaboration with these universities. There was a research group organized on geology, and this was with the Università Bicocca, telling us how the unknown is closer to us than we think, thinking of the diameter of the Earth. Our diameter has a 12,000 kilometer diameter. We just know 10. So this is per se an unknown element that gives us the idea of how great is the range of things that we do not know. So this is a confirmation of the fact that in Milan there are plenty of universities, outstanding sources of research that is carried out by PhD students coming to Milan to study. The microphone is not working. Unfortunately, we cannot hear what Carla is saying. Thank you. What I'd like to add is that there are a series of digital projects within this exhibition. We have Pietro Righi-Riva with 5 international designers that focused on the same theme. Also, virtual reality project that allows us to discover the international exhibition starting from the very roots with reference to the architectural project and design of this building. And these are further elements to better understand the exhibition. Then there is going to be a guide which is published both in Italian and English. There can be thematic approaches to this discovery because cognitive accessibility and affordability is something we are focused on. And also I'd like to thank all those who allowed us to achieve this objective today, which is just the beginning for the next international exhibition, starting with Dimitri Kerkensi and BIE, the Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Fondation Cartier, an outstanding partner. We have been actively collaborating on a daily basis. The members of the Fondazione Triennale, the region of Lombardy, the municipality of Milan, the Chamber of Commerce, and partners such as Eni, Lavazza, Franklin Templeton, Rai One, and I have a list here, and I'm trying not to forget anybody. Scalo Milano, Salone del Mobile, ATM, EGP Deco. Obviously enough, this is work in team. The board of directors actively participated in this organization. The scientific committee also allowed us to leverage their exceptional professionalism. I also would like to thank all those employees who collaborated in this initiative. Thank you very much. Thank you to you all. Thank you. Just to close, I'd like to ask whether there are questions. I'd like to invite all the curators to come on stage, and also should there be questions, specific questions from the floor, they are welcomed. I assume that you'll be asking questions only after visiting the exhibition. Anyway, the curators and artists will be in the pavilions and in the very venues where the installations are, so you can ask questions there directly. So you're all invited on stage, please. Please, let's take a picture together. This is a great opportunity to be all together.
It is within or behind everything we do.
Thank you to you all. Thank you. It was great. Thank you.
Everyday objects. They are all its constructions. They are its forms.
Enjoy the visit.
We don't see it.